land of Pasundan lies a symbol that is more than just an artifact. The Kujang, it is a spirit, a message from the ancient past to the present day. The Kujang is a living witness, a reflection of the life and beliefs of the Sundanese people. In Sundanese legends, the Kujang serves as a symbol of courage in times of hardship, especially during the era of the Pajajaran kingdom, under the leadership of King Prabu Siliwangi. It is told that the king possessed a mystical Kujang known as the Kujang Kencana. In the legend, the Kujang Kencana had the power to make enemies retreat without a single drop of blood spilled, a force drawn from the respect and the reverence for the king, as well as the loyalty of the Sundanese people. The Kujang serves as a reminder of the strength and unity between a king and his people, a symbol deeply rooted in the spirit of every Pajajaran warrior. The Kujang consists of 3 parts, each telling a story of human life cycle. Paksi, the part that symbolizes birth, Beteng, the journey of life, and Kongo, the soul's final journey toward eternity. Mistika, Mastaka, Mustika. From nothingness emerged the wisdom of thought. In the form of the Kujang, the journey of human life is preserved, from nothingness to life and finally returning to nothingness. For the Sundanese, this represents the eternal cycle, a reminder of our origins and ultimate destination. Every side of the Kujang has meaning. The left side symbolizes the spiritual realm, an invisible yet deeply felt world, the place where ancestral spirit and spiritual energy reside. Its right side reflects the tangible world, the world we live in, where human struggles and achievements unfold. The Kujang reminds us that life is a balance between the seen and the unseen. Behind the beauty and the philosophy of the Kujang lies the secret of its forging, passed down from generation to generation. This crafting technique is commonly used to make weapons, yet for the Kujang, each strike of the hammer holds a unique deeper meaning, as if infusing the soul into each curve of metal. This is a process that shapes not only steel, but also unites the strength and values of the Sundanese land. The primary material commonly used for making sharp weapons is a spring steel. However, for creating the unique pamor of this Kujang, 4 to 5 different types of materials are used.
Yang paling utama itu nikel, yang kedua itu mangan atau bekas bantalan kereta api. Kalau yang untuk kerasnya pakai bekas per mobil. Kalau yang alloynya itu ada yang bekas jembatan, galangan kapal, atau besi-besi yang alloy gitu, yang lunak gitu.
Before the forging process begins, the charcoal used must be of high quality. In the Chiwidey region, pine wood charcoal is typically preferred.
Kalau yang bara untuk pamor, itu saya sengaja di center 2 gitu, balwarna dipasang 2 karena untuk mempercepat rambatan di atas 1000 derajat itu supaya tidak panas. Kita dikasih center balwar untuk pendorong panas, untuk yang kerjanya tungku pukul, martil kecil, capit ragum atau capit lasan, itu yang paling utama untuk pembuatan beberapa jenis pamor.
The process begins with creating 7 layers of material. These layers are welded together to ensure strong bonding. The layers are heated around 900 degrees Celsius in the forge. The material is then cleaned, hammered, and reheated at 1200 to 1400 degrees Celsius. The material is manually hammered to unify the layers and then thinned using the mechanical hammer. The initial material, measuring 20 cm, is heated and extended to 60 cm, then divided into 3 sections for further forging. This process is repeated, forming 3 stacks, each consisting of 9 layers. Each layer contains of 7 sheets, resulting in total of 7 times 9 layers for a perfectly unified structure. The unified layers are shaped into a blade for the kujang. The blade is first shaped at the tip, starting with a tadah at the back, then moving forward the center using manual hammering. The edges are shaped according to the design. The blade is cleaned and redrawn to refine the pattern. The pommel on the blade cannot be cut randomly. Its line must follow the natural contours of the material to maintain the beauty and the harmony of the pattern. The chalachah that covers the forged surface is removed using a grinder. The kujang pattern is then finalized during the sharpening stage, using sandpaper, a grinding stone, and other tools to refine the blade, patuk, and tadah. The distinctive hole on the kujang cannot be made with modern drills, as it would disrupt the flow of the pommel instead. It is made manually using a drip method. The blade is heated, the tip is sharpened, and the hole is carefully crafted without breaking the pommel, ensuring its pattern remains intact. The etching process begins after the blade surface is polished to a grade 400 finish to preserve the clarity of the pommel. The blade is immersed in a ferric chloride solution for 15 minutes to open its pores and highlight the pommel patterns. This process is repeated 3 times for the best result. The final step is the warangan process, which requires direct sunlight. Once complete, the kujang's handle and shells are decorated with motifs such as tigers or other designs tailored to the customer's request.
Kenapa ada ini? Bukannya menjalur kemusyrikan, hanya untuk menjaga keselamatan saya juga. Karena membuat kujang bukan sembarangan kujang, bukan hanya untuk koleksi, takutnya dipakai senjata atau segala macam. Saya untuk anak cucu di masa yang akan datang, ini akan bisa kelihatan lebih cantik.
This tradition is not a ceremonial ritual, but a way to ensure safety during the process.
Hanya berdoa dulu, karena yang di tempat itu kan logam, yang dari tanah. Makanya dimandiin gitu sama air bunga. Kenapa itu? Budaya gitu.
Offerings during the Maulid month are often practiced by blacksmiths here. It is simply part of the culture, a way to honor ancestors and preserve tradition. On November 23, 2011, the kujang became embroiled in a legal conflict that threatened its very existence. During a court hearing, the kujang was charged under Emergency Law No. 12 of 1951.
Waktu itu, saudaraku Elvi Silviadi mengunjungi Tangkuban Perahu. Beliau berpakaian adat dan membawa kujang. Ternyata beliau ditangkap dengan tuduhan membawa senjata tajam. Nah, tuduhan itu ada pasal-pasalnya, nomor 12 tahun 51. Di situ dinyatakan bahwa Anda membawa senjata tajam.
The incident began with a dispute between a cultural activist and a party at Tangkuban Parahu Tourism Park. The situation escalated, culminating in the activist brandishing a kujang, which led to his arrest under the Emergency Law Number 12 of 1951, Article 2, Paragraph 1, on firearms and sharp weapon. This is where expert witnesses such as retired Mayor Jenderal TNI Iwan R. Sulanjana, Insinyur Roza Rahmatjasa Mintaraja, Wawah Hermawan, and Kang Aris Kurniawan played a critical role in defending the honor of the kujang. They emphasized that the kujang is not a weapon, but a sacred heirloom of the Sundanese people.
Bahwa unsur-unsur perupaan dalam kujang itu tidak memiliki secara jelas sebagai elemen fungsional. Seperti misalnya bilahnya yang memiliki panjang antara 19 sampai 25 cm, itu secara ergonomi tidak memenuhi syarat efektif, efisien, dan ergonomis terhadap manusia, khususnya orang Sunda. Nah, apabila kita pergunakan kujang secara aplikatif, apabila dijadikan senjata, dia akan kalah dengan senjata-senjata seperti golok, pedang, gobang, kelewang, cunrik, cengkrong, dan lain sebagainya yang memiliki dimensi lebih panjang. Kujang tidak memiliki kata kerja, berarti dia nunggal, sebuah representasi, berbeda dengan senjata atau perkakas. Ini sifatnya aplikatif. Tapi kalau kujang, ini merekam peradaban Sunda yang memiliki sifat representatif. Jadi peradaban Sunda itu direkam dalam bentuk perupaan kujang. Pada saat itu Lembaga Bantuan Hukum Galuh Pakuan Pajajaran mencari saksi ahli kujang. Karena rata-rata menurut pernyataan beliau-beliau pada saat itu, bahwa rata-rata menyatakan kujang itu sebagai sebuah senjata.
However, through academic research, strong arguments, and legal defense, expert witnesses successfully demonstrated that the kujang is not a weapon. The court ruled that the kujang cannot be categorized as a weapon, but rather as a cultural symbol that deserves a protection.
Dari hasil penelitian saya tidak menemukan unsur-unsur kujang sebagai senjata. Maka di pengadilan pada saat itu, saya sebagai salah satu saksi ahli, saya sebagai peneliti kujang menyatakan kujang itu bukan senjata dengan penjelasan sebagaimana saya sebutkan tadi. Kujang tidak memenuhi unsur-unsur sebagai benda fungsional yang berfungsi ekstrinsik. Kujang sebagai sebuah karya dalam bentuk bahasa rupa harus dijelaskan secara perupaan. Nah, salah satunya adalah struktur perupaan kujang yang saya lihat tidak memenuhi unsur-unsur benda fungsional.
Today, thanks to their efforts, the kujang is recognized as a respected and preserved cultural heritage. This decision is not only a victory for the defenders of the kujang, but also for the entire Sundanese community.
Pertama, mengenai legitimasi secara hukum yang disebut dengan inkrah atau berkekuatan hukum tetap. Dan kedua, sudah ada kajian akademisnya dalam tesis saudaraku Aris Kurniawan yang berjudul Bagaimana Simbol Perupaan dalam Pemaknaannya. Saya kira cukup dua itu menjadi dasar untuk memunculkan atau mengeluarkan peraturan daerah yang sudah Kang Iwan laksanakan menjadi tradisi yang berlangsung sejak lama, bahwa Sertijab itu selalu serah terima kujang di samping Wangsit Siliwanginya. Kami akan lanjutkan sampai berhasil keluar menjadi legitimate bahwa secara hukum bahwa Kujang harus dan akan menjadi ikon bangsa Sunda Jawa Barat. Sangat disayangkan bahwa aspirasi masyarakat sampai saat ini belum terasa bahwa Kujang sudah berkekuatan hukum tetap atau inkrah sebetulnya bahasa hukumnya. Jadi semoga perjalanan ini akan mendapat dukungan penuh dari seluruh masyarakat, rakyat dan bangsa Sunda.
Throughout its history, the Kujang has evolved from traditional to modern crafting process. It is not merely a display of skill and creativity, but a representation of identity, philosophical values, and rich heritage, connecting communities to their cultural roots. Cultural advocates successfully defended the honor of the Kujang, emphasizing the need to preserve and uphold the values it embodies. The Kujang must be viewed as a symbol of the rich Sundanese civilization, not just a tool. Therefore, it is crucial for the government to propose regional regulations that protect and govern the Kujang, ensuring its continuity and recognition. For instance, government officials could carry the Kujang during Hanover ceremonies accompanied by the Wangsit Siliwangi tradition. It is also hoped that the Kujang might one day become a ceremonial command baton. With such regulations in place, the Kujang would not only receive formal recognition, but also be safeguarded and preserved as a cultural identity that remains vibrant and respected through changing times, ensuring its legacy for future generations.